Welcome to Financially Speaking. I'm your host, Drexwell Seymour. It's such a pleasure to be here today. Is this the last? Yeah, this is the last Tuesday in May. Wow, 5 months is going already. And we'll be going to this almost the second half of 2025. I just want to thank all of you for your continuous support and feedback on Financially Speaking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now today, our guest, of course, this is Financially Speaking, so we try to, link more to finances. And so we're going to talk about sports and finances. And I think in order for, you might say what it has to do with financing. I think sports have a lot to do with financing. In order for our sports industry to grow, we need investment. It requires a lot of investment in money, of course, investment in time, investment in people. And so it's very, very critical for us to see how we could tackle it and also to understand how it works. And so I have the director of the Sports Commission, Mr. Forbes, here today, and we're going to talk about it, how the commission works, the different bodies that are in Turks and Caicos, so we could get a better understanding of how things work. Because the Sports Commission, sometimes they do get blamed for everything, while sometimes they are not to be blamed. And so with that said, I want to welcome Mr. Forbes to Financially Speaking. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Seymour.
yes. Now, I don't think you've been on Financially Speaking before, probably on the Drexwell Seymour show. So
Yes.
it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How are things over there at the Sports Commission?
Well, once again, thanks for having me on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely watch this show often. It's
Yes,
a great show.
thank you.
I'm not going to get into which one is number one. But we are still busy. We're always busy at the Sports Commission. We had a very active fourth quarter of the last financial year. And so now we're just kind of recalibrating and getting our plans ready. The budget just passed last week. And so now we're getting ready to roll out our new slate of plans and activities for this financial year.
Good. And so you are the director of sports, the Sports Commission. Tell us more or less the function of the Sports Commission and how does the Sports Commission work? How is it funded? And how does the Sports Commission help the other bodies that exist in the country?
All right, so the Sports Commission is a statutory body, and we have here our main functions are one, facilities management maintenance.
Okay. So all the different facilities.
Yes. So all the major facilities and also community parks across the country. We currently oversee roughly 17 facilities.
We have that many facilities?
Oh yes.
Oh.
We have 10 community parks that we oversee, and the others are major facilities such as the National Stadium, Gustavo Eichmann Sports Complex, the South Caicos Sports Complex. We oversee the Felix Morley Community Center.
Oh yes, that's the new one.
And we also have the Grand Turk Sports Complex and Shelter coming on stream shortly, hopefully by the end of July.
Oh, okay.
We
That's
oversee
right around the corner.
the Grand Turk Parade Ground, and there are other things in the pipeline.
So, what
as
about
well.
anything in North Caicos, Middle Caicos
We
that
do
you
provide
oversee?
support with the Raymond Gardner Field, which we hope to do some work to that very soon.
All right. Okay. I was just trying to figure out, well, that's 17. I didn't realize there was, so many facilities that you oversee.
Yeah, we have community parks in Leeward and Long Bay, Q-Town.
So wait a minute, the park in Leeward Palms, you oversee that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Q-Town Park, NGS Francis Park, and Grand Turk Back Salina, and West Road Park. We also oversee Juba Sound Park. We just recently did some work there with the Sanders Foundation.
Yes.
And we oversee also Belgrade's Garden in phase 1 or 2, I think. Yeah.
Phase 1, I think.
Phase 1. And we have a number of other parks in the pipeline as well.
Okay, yeah. I think parks are very important, actually.
Very, very important, yes.
Yeah, we need more of them.
And so outside of facilities, we also host a series of activities. We focus on sport for all, such as recreational activities and youth empowerment activities, sports for development and peace. And then we also have our competitive side where we deal with school sports and so on and so forth. Very, very dynamic list of activities we do all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I see you guys are doing a very good job.
Yeah, we have a lot going on.
Doing a very good
and
job.
then we also focus on physical fitness, such as with Let's Move TCI campaign in partnership with the Ministry of Health.
That's still going on, right?
Yes. So this should be extended a bit longer.
Oh, okay.
Because usually we end around the end of March. And this year we're going well into June.
Oh, okay.
Because we started a series of adult leagues to kind of really encourage persons over 30 to stay active, right? And of course, we also have now governance and oversight of national sport governing bodies, right? And these are the national federations that person may be familiar with, such as the TC3A, the TCIFA, that's football, TC3A is track and field, or athletics. We oversee the Basketball Federation now. These are independent bodies, right? So our role is just good governance, right? And also managing our grants program. These bodies are not controlled by the Sports Commission.
Okay.
Because the way how international sports work is that sport must be separate from government. So government cannot have any influence over sport, especially when it comes to national team selection. Who makes the national team?
So you're trying to move away from the political factors.
Well, it's not a part of it at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
It has been that way for many years. Countries that interfere with the national sport governing bodies eventually get sanctioned from the international body and is not allowed to compete in games like the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games or the World Champs. So they usually get sanctioned and disbarred from competing if there's any evidence of heavy government interference. And so that's why, while the general public would ask us a lot of questions as to, you know, how the national teams are selected and why did this person do this or that, we can advise the National Federation, but we cannot tell them how to run their national programs.
Yeah.
One area the Sports Commission is now taking a greater role in is athlete development, right? So think about it from this perspective. We host a series of events and activities where athletes participate in, right? But we don't have a strong role in their development, how they participate.
Right, because that's up to the different...
Usually the athlete development happens at the federation level or at the club or school level, right? But because we identify that there's a gap, and us being a small country, we have to work together. And so the commission is now taking a stronger role in how we get involved with athlete development.
Okay.
Right? So imagine this. Imagine that we are hosting competition. The team, we don't control the teams. Each team is an independent entity.
You're more like the facilitator.
Exactly. Just like we don't control the schools, right? But we control the national championships. But each school is an independent entity who signs up to participate in the national championships. So our role is to host the national championships. But the general public then also says, why aren't the kids running faster? Right?
Yeah.
Or why aren't the kids jumping higher?
Yeah.
Or passing better? Right? So that is really the role of the institution who owns the team. Right? And so the Sports Commission does not own any teams. We don't manage any teams. We manage events, activities, programs, facilities, and we oversee national federations. We work with schools, but we don't own the team, right? So for example, while we will provide a space for Marjorie to play HJ and a platform for that game to happen, we don't determine how good the Marjorie Basin team is.
Yeah, you were not involved in
or how good the HJ Robertson team is. But given that we have a major gap in the Turks and Caicos Islands in high performance development, we're at a juncture now where the Sports Commission has to now expand its function, right? To where we now start to specialize in player development without owning a team, right? Because we will now be able to own
So
a
how
team.
will that work? You you work with the teams, or you fund them, or
So two things. Well, more than two things. One, we would fund them. We provide funding for the teams to have access to high performance
through the schools, or through the bodies,
through the federations.
through the federations.
Yeah,
Okay.
through the national federations. And two, we would also, at some point, we would have to look at hiring specialists within the sports commission who's focused on player development. And in that instance, then we will then be able to invite athletes on the recommendation of the National Federation to be a part of that training program, right? It doesn't matter how many coaches we hire at the sports commission. If we decide to go that route and hire specialist coaches, we will never be able to field a team.
Because that's not your role.
Because that's not our role.
But I mean, but you could provide the
development,
the resources.
We can provide the development and the resources, but then the National Federation still has to field the team.
Yeah, I understand.
Right? The school still has to field the team. And what we have done since over the last 3 years or 4 years, we have developed a sports performance center that focuses on strength and conditioning. And in that center, we train National Federation teams, just strength and conditioning, and also high school teams. So we have a high school program where high school coaches can sign their kids up for the program and we train them. And then we have the national team program where national federations can enlist their athletes and we train them.
Okay. Now, you know, I want to get to a topic, Dukarifta. Because, you know, I wrote an article about that, right? And I provided some recommendations because I'm not a sports person, but I do research and I do speak to different people. And I know, and like you say, the Sports Commission is not responsible for the selection of the team.
Yes.
That goes through the federation. Now, you also mentioned about, I also think that we need more. I know that my understanding is that there are a lot of the coaching that takes place. My understanding is that these are full-time teachers, and they're volunteering their time to coach. How can the Sports Commission help? And I know you don't select the team, but how can the Sports Commission work with the federation, to see there's improvement? Like we have more full-time coaches on the ground, more technical support, more mental support, more resources, better facilities. For example, I know a lot of people complain about the swimming. So when the team is not used to practicing in an Olympic-sized pool, how can the Sports Commission or the ministry help so we can see improvement? Because I believe that we have great potential in the country, but I believe we need more time. We need more practice. We need more coaches, and we need more resources. How can the Sports Commission help with that?
So the first area that we help is facilities. We do provide facilities to all our schools, and it's at no cost, right? So we provide them access to facilities at no cost. We started to improve facilities in the community level. So if a school is near to a community park,
right,
they can also utilize those facilities because transportation is still a problem.
That is true.
Right, that's a major problem with our athletes. And doing a survey with athletes and parents, transport is a major problem. I wish that we had the capacity to do so, but that's a policy issue, right, in regards to whether or not the Sports Commission can provide transportation, right? Currently we provide training, right? So we provide training for coaches and training for officials. However, even with training, that takes time, right? And so the fastest way for us to move to the next level in performance is to bring in support while at the same time providing training. Our coaches has done a great job establishing a strong foundation. Kids are interested in playing sports. They're committed to the sport. Right. And contrary to popular belief, there's a saying that when I first started in the sports commission, there was a saying that the majority of our athletes train a week before a competition. But that's not true. It's not true. Our athletes are training 7 months out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some athletes are training year round.
Okay.
But in order to be a high performance athlete, it requires more than just time, right? It requires certain expertise. It requires certain competition levels that has to happen frequently. For us to host a local competition, right? Our school sports, the cost of running school sports is about $400,000 a year.
You mean the inter-sports?
Just inter-school sports is probably over $400,000 a year, and you would not believe where that cost goes.
Accommodations?
Accommodations, transportation, meals, right? Things that most countries wouldn't have to pay for.
Because they have that already?
Because they're not separated by water.
Well, that's, yeah. That's,
right?
yeah.
You can just
That is a...
get on a bus
Yeah.
and get to the game and go back to your community.
Yeah, that is a disadvantage.
It's a big disadvantage.
Yeah.
So for us to spend, $400,000+ in competitions, in local competitions, imagine what it will cost for international competition.
Yeah.
For us to compete to go overseas for one team of 19, including coaches and support staff, is about $45,000.
Yeah.
And that's for one competition.
Yeah.
And to be able to be excellent in sport, you need multiple competitions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You can't compete once. You can't compete just locally for the entire year
and then expect.
and then go away to the major competition. Just now you're against the region or the world, and you're going to just perform.
Yeah.
You have to compete at least 4 times minimum
Before the
major competition. But what does that cost? If the major competition costs $40,000, the others may not cost as much, but you're going to be paying about $25,000 to $30,000 per competition leading up to the major competition.
Yeah.
And that's just for one team.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, for one team, you need a competition budget of about $250,000 if you want to be able to compete.
Yeah.
Right? And so we understand our realities, and we're doing the best that we can. And I believe that our federations are doing the best that they can. Of course, there's always room to grow, but this is the financial show. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's just important that persons understand the realities.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's easy to say what our kids are lacking or what our kids, the potential they have. But what we need to be talking about is the process and the strategies that has to take place to get them there. What is the ecosystem that's required to get our kids to compete at such a high level? I really commend the Football Association.
Yeah.
The Football Association is doing a great job.
They are.
Their kids are exposed. Their kids compete frequently, and they have different age groups. So it's not just the national senior team competing.
My kids used to.
We're talking about the
involved.
14U male and female. Then you have the under 20s or whatever. They have so many different levels of competition, and each one of those kids, those teams, are able to compete 3 and 4 times a year. So just imagine what their competition budget has to be.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, right? And that makes a lot of sense. So I believe that, if there's one thing I believe that could improve unity among us in Turks and Caicos is through sports.
I agree.
And I believe that if we want the sports to grow, then we need to invest more in it. I know that the Sports Commission budget has increased dramatically over the last couple of years.
It has.
and based on your numbers and the multiple meets that you think we need in order for us to, perform better, then I think we need to invest that. I mean, maybe it's beyond you, but I think we need to put more money into the sports if we want to see the results. Because people like me who don't know much what's happening on the outside, to us, all we see is a team. You mentioned that people are being trained 7 months around the year. To us, all we see is a selection of people being selected like 4 weeks before. For example, Carifta. Mm-hmm. All we saw was you had the Inter-High, I think in March, whatever, or I know February. Anyway, it's 4 weeks before. That's all we see. We don't see anything else. And then we see this big entourage going to Carifta, and then we come back with no medals, and we're saying, wait a minute, what else can we do? And if it means investing more money, like what the Football Association is doing, having all these multiple meets, then I think that is something that we should do. That's why I wish the minister was here, but unfortunately she couldn't make it today. That's something that we need to do in our budget. I know the budget just passed, but that is something that sports should be a priority in a critical way for our country, and I think that's more we need to invest in.
What I can say is that I agree with you. Sports is a great unifier. If you can remember, South Africa, right? When they were going through apartheid, mm-hmm. and when Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and he utilized sports as his main mechanism to unify South Africa. I mean, I know you probably watched the last interview with the current U.S. president and the current South African president, mm-hmm. and in that interview, he mentioned it there as well, that sports was a critical component of unifying their country, and it has happened all throughout South America, Central America, and Europe. In regards to funding, sports is expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
And it's not something that the government can carry alone. Many countries, sport is heavily funded by the private sector. However, in those countries, there's a professional sporting organization, mm-hmm. right? Where you have the NBA, you have the NFL, you have major institutions like NCAA teams with billion-dollar budgets, right? That invests in the community level sports. In Turks, we don't have any professional teams. We don't have that economy, right? That can say, here goes, $10 million a year to run your sports programs, mm-hmm. right? So that makes us in a peculiar situation where while we may need $10 million, we don't have the economy to provide $10 million.
So okay, I mean, an ideal budget. What do you think is? I know you were talking about $10 million just now, but and I agree that I honestly believe that yes, the government alone shouldn't be the one to fund sports. I do believe that we need more community involvement, but in an ideal budget, to see better improvement, to hire more full-time coaches to be able to fund multiple meets and competition throughout the year. What do you think is an ideal budget for this?
An ideal budget? Oh boy, that's
what is your budget now?
That's a heavy question.
What is your budget now?
I can answer that.
Okay.
The budget for the Sports Commission now is like 5.6 million.
5.6 million.
5.4.
And then out of that 5.6, you probably allocate what, $1 million? I don't know. How much do you allocate to the different sport?
To sport development, as far as whether it's program development, competitions, grants, at least a third.
A third? Okay.
And then, of course, our facilities, we got 17 facilities, so you can imagine
what
kind of budget that is.
You have to have the resources to manage that. You need to hire people.
Security, cleaning, maintenance, groundskeeping services, utility costs. So it's a lot, right?
Yeah, it is.
But I think we're at a point now where for example, we launched the Athlete Development Fund, right, which gives an opportunity for.
That's out of the five.
That's money we raise outside of the money we get from TCIG,
okay.
right? the Athlete Development Fund is an opportunity for the private sector to invest in sport. And what's so awesome about this fund is that none of the fund goes to operational costs, because our operational cost is fully covered, right? And so if a donor gives $20,000, $20,000 goes towards the actual programming. You know, it doesn't go towards paying your rent or
It's
paying your staff. It goes directly towards programming, right? And so I'm happy we're at this juncture now where we can do that, right?
That's good. And are you getting?
It's picking up.
You getting?
It's picking up. It's picking up. Companies are seeing more. In our first year launching the fund, we were able to pretty much educate the public on the fund. And then we got athletes applying for the fund. I believe we gave out like 10 sponsorships that year. And then we had some success stories. And with the success stories, then we were able to start to get more funding from donors.
So that funding is used for like even when college?
So it's not at that point yet.
Oh, okay.
It's not at the point to give scholarships.
It's just for training.
Training grants, yeah. It's not at the point, because we have gotten some applications. And you know what a scholarship costs, like 30, 40 grand.
I know. More
so we don't have
for
that level of funding, athletes would have to apply to the scholarship fund, to the scholarship board.
Got it.
And there is a sports scholarship there.
Great.
Yes.
There is. So tell us more about the fund. How can people watching the show, how can they contribute to this fund? What is the process?
So we have a website.
Okay.
You can just go on to Athlete Development Fund, and you can just...
So go to Sports Commission website, and then click...
They can just research Athlete Development Fund.
Oh, okay.
And they'll get all the information they need.
Oh, okay.
They can also go to our website as well.
And there's a link.
There's a link, yes.
Okay.
And they can easily just contact us about their desire to give. We're working on now a platform that allows for easy payment, and we're currently working with a platform host, so it makes it
you can pay directly
to the fund, without having to go any bank transfers or checks.
Oh, that'd be nice.
We're working on that now, because the fund is not just for private sector business. The fund is for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? We have, I don't know, 50,000 folks living in Turks and Caicos. If a person says, I want to give to an athlete, I'm going to donate $100 to this fund. That goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
Right? If 10,000 persons give $100, that's $100,000, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you brought that up, because we could play our role too. We may not have the time to volunteer as coaches or whatever.
But you can give $100.
We can do financial contribution.
Exactly. And
so it's Athlete Development Fund.
Athlete Development Fund. And you're gonna hear a lot more about this year. We just had a big event in April, the fight night. We hosted Canada.
Oh yes, congrats on that. I heard it was a very good success.
Yes, and
that's the group from Canada.
Yes, a team from Canada. Yes, they fought against our guys. It was a great event.
Great exposure.
Yes, it was amazing, and our kids fought very well.
Yeah, I heard.
And I'm going to say this just to kind of go back to the whole idea of coaches, right?
Yeah.
In our boxing gym, we have Coach Gary Liebman. Yes. Who was a former professional fighter. We had Coach Kathy, who was also a professional boxing coach out of Canada.
Good Kathy. She here?
She's back and forth often, right? And so we have high quality coaching.
Yeah.
And then of course, Coach Jim Kelly, who recently passed.
Yes.
Perfectionist in his craft. So when you see the level of coaching that our kids was getting in boxing, and then they had our facility is a world-class facility in our boxing gym, right? So they have all the resources they need. They have the coaching that they need. And for us to get those kids to compete the way they competed at fight night, in such a short window, that alone is is evidence. That once you have the coaches, the facilities, a motivated athlete, anything is possible. Those kids fought exceptionally well. And if anyone who watched it live or who was inside the building, they can attest that it was quite a performance.
Yeah, it also builds, the confidence level. It's once they do well, even if they win a match, but the fact that they did well, it boosts
their confidence.
Yeah.
and now they want another one.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's where the
Yeah.
money comes in, right? Because to host an event like that may cost $30,000, right? So money is all about money, right?
Yeah.
You know, money makes the world go around.
Yeah, money answered all things, they say. How were you able to get that here?
Partnerships.
Partnerships.
Yes, partnerships. Everything started with partnerships. You know, usually when we travel around the world, and we do travel often, we look at opportunities that we can bring back to Turks, and how we can build relationships and how we can strengthen what's happening at home.
Yeah.
And so the entire boxing development came up through that. Coach Gary invited me and Mr. Parker to Las Vegas. He wanted us to see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
To understand where his passion is from.
Yeah.
And we visited some gyms, Floyd Mayweather gym. We said, you know what, Gary, we got it now.
Yeah.
We're bought. And we came back home and made it happen.
That is awesome. Yeah, I visited what's 150?
Felix
Molly.
Yes.
I visited that, and in fact, Gary's on my show. Yeah,
Okay,
I was
awesome.
very impressed with what's happening there.
Nice.
You know that's incredible. Do you know what's happening with the swimming pool, the proposed swimming pool that we were supposed to have? Do you know what's happening with that?
We met some delays with that project. We do have the land
Yeah.
to build the project of pool on. We are currently in the design phase right now. So right now we have a design consultancy that's ongoing
Okay.
where the pool is being designed. Our team visited different Caribbean islands to look at their facilities and met with the pool directors and went through all their facilities, all their maintenance issues and the best type of equipment for our climate. And so we put together then an owner's requirement.
Yeah.
We also met with the Swim Federation personnel. And so now the phase we're at now is that the pool is currently being designed.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're looking probably next year then.
I don't speak, it's hard to speak to dates. Well, but, I mean, the design should be finished this year.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
then we go into
'Cause
construction.
I don't think I saw it in the budget.
No, because we couldn't put it in the budget because we didn't know exactly how much it would cost.
Right.
So once the design is done and then the costing is done and then the premier and the cabinet makes a decision.
Right.
As
right.
to
Okay,
the
so you need
budget.
all that costing first.
Yes.
So you can be realistic
Yes,
when you're putting
we got to
into the
do this
budget.
right. We
Yeah.
can't have a.
I
We
agree
can't.
with you.
This is a big investment,
Yeah.
and we can't do it halfway.
I absolutely agree with you. Now I'm hearing that the Turks and Caicos will be hosting the not the Olympics. I mean, what is it?
Carifta,
I heard that they're hosting Carifta in the next 2 years. Is that true?
where did you hear that?
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that Turks and Caicos will be hosting Carifta in 2027.
I don't know.
You're not aware of that?
I mean, we're always looking for opportunities to host, and we're always discussing certain possibilities, but nothing concrete has been communicated yet.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the birdies are always in the windows.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And there's a bidding process anyway. You have to
there's a
bid
bidding
on.
process as
Yeah.
well. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, we are working towards
Yeah.
something major, and once it's at a stage of announcement, then we'll make that announcement.
All right, no problem. Now I know a lot of countries have like this YMCA thing, right? And where they even have like accommodations deals. I know you mentioned, $400,000 for the inter sports, and a lot of it really was accommodation and travel, I suppose. The YMCA, based on, is that private? Is that something privately done? Because I'm just thinking, if there's something that we could set up some facilities going forward, where we could also have on each island, we have like a facility,
Accommodations.
and then the accommodations right there. So when people are coming from the other islands, it's there.
That's. I mean, I believe it's possible, especially in Provo, because I think.
I know the Football Association is building
they're
something
building
right
their own
now.
accommodations
Yeah, they're
now.
building accommodations.
And once that is done, we're definitely going to be utilizing that space
Yeah,
as clients. It would be great to have our own accommodation. We'll save some money, but of course, it'll be some major upfront capital costs.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, then you have the maintenance, and you
Yeah.
have to have a plan in place how we
'Cause
can
even- yeah.
generate revenue from it when it's not being utilized by athletes. So, but that's definitely something that we're looking at.
Because you're right. Because even with the YMCA, people even use it as a means of making revenue. For example,
Oh, definitely.
when I went to one of those countries, was it Singapore or Malaysia? I actually stayed at a YMCA.
Really?
And
Wow.
so it was more like other means of it's not just for athletes.
No.
Because I'm not an athlete. But it was also available for people to even stay there as well, which I think would be a good thing if it's not being used, because you want to make money. You don't want to have a building just sitting there not being used, because you don't have sports events all year round, every month. But it can still be used also as a means of maybe that's something the private sector could do. I don't know.
Why I'm saying it's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not government.
Right.
It's government would subsidize
Right.
YMCA's, but YMCA's is usually nonprofit,
True.
and there is a cost. So
definitely
it's not free.
Definitely there's a
Right?
cost.
And a lot of our facilities are free.
Yeah.
The only time you pay is if you're renting it for a private booking, where you're saying that I want exclusive rights to the facility.
Right.
Otherwise, it's free access.
Right.
But if you was to have a YMCA, it wouldn't be free.
Yeah.
You would have to pay a membership.
You need money to cover the
Yeah.
cost of the operations. But I throw it out there because it doesn't have to be the sports commission. It could be a partnership that individuals could come out, and that's something that we could, we could do.
I think there's an appetite for
Yeah.
those type of facilities in Turks and Caicos Islands, for sure.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the sports complex in Grand Turk will be opening sometime in July. Will it be operated and similar to what has been happening here in Provo?
Similar.
Yeah.
It'll be primarily used for sporting activities, and then occasionally we will use it for events
So
to
in
raise
the
money.
facility, it also has a basketball court?
It has an indoor basketball court, a multi-purpose court, so you can play basketball, volleyball, potentially badminton.
And your office will be in the sports commission office will be there too?
Yes, we'll have an office there as well.
Okay.
And of course, in the event of a storm, it'll be a shelter as well.
Okay.
And of course, we have graduations and different big events.
Okay,
now,
that'd be nice.
We get a lot of I guess heat for the Gustavus Leibman.
Why?
Because of it's a heavily utilized facility.
Yeah, it is. It is.
If you spend a day or 2 days at Gustavus Leibman, and you will be amazed the amount of activity that happens there. And having to manage and balance that, it is not an easy task.
Yeah.
Right?
Imagine.
It is the only public facility of that size in the country.
Yeah. Is that where Clement Howell had the graduation too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we tend to say no often to bookings because we have to reserve time for sports. And youth activities are free.
Yeah.
Then you have open court where folks just want to come and play. And then you have organized teams that wants to reserve the whole space.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's
So you are busy.
for free. And just imagine we have how much schools in Provo?
At least, I don't know.
And if these
at least
schools are
15
saying,
or
can
so.
I get an hour and a half to practice?
Yeah.
How's that going to work out?
Yeah. So it sounds like we need another facility in Provo.
We're growing as the country.
Yeah, we
We have something in the pipeline.
Oh, okay.
Very soon, there should be another facility opening up in the Long Bay area.
Oh, okay.
So
Very
it's,
soon.
It's under construction now, yes.
It's under construction?
Yes.
Oh, at the Long Bay Primary School.
Long Bay Primary.
What's the name of the school? The Thelma Library?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a
You'll be
big
managing that, or the school is managing that?
We are currently in discussions. I know the minister has expressed interest in the Sports Commission managing the facility side of it, the sport facility side. And the school will continue to manage the school part.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, but the sporting part will be managed. Okay, well,
Yes.
that'll be a relief too,
So
because.
that may be finished this year, possibly, yes.
Okay.
So that'll take some pressure off Gustavus Leibman because we have another facility up in the Long Bay area.
Yeah, that would, and then we could get more facilities, more community centers.
Yes,
I think
and
the
that's in the
government-
pipeline too. It's a lot. There's one being built that's in the budget for North Milwaukee
And I think I saw something for the bite.
for the bite as well.
So we could get more community centers. And I think the Felix Mall is a nice one.
Yeah, it's a great
Because
one.
you can use it also as a sports,
Yes.
facility as well. If we get more community centers, then that could relieve
A lot of pressure off Gustavus Leibniz.
That would be incredible.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all these things are in the pipeline.
Okay. It's just now we got to make sure get it done.
Just keep
'Cause that's
keep pushing it forward.
I see part of the problem, and that I have, and most people I don't work for government, and I don't quite clearly understand how it works. It's like we have all these things in the pipeline, but sometimes these things are in the pipeline for 2 years and 3 years. So I know there's a procurement issue going on, and I see what the Premier mentioned. They're going to set up a department to see how they can streamline and make things move faster, because the things are there, but it's nothing like it takes off. So hopefully we'll see some progress with this budget.
Yes, hopefully as well.
Yeah. So how many employees do you have at the Sports Commission?
We have 39
39.
staff. We do have some vacancies we're filling right now, but we have 39 staff at the
Okay.
Sports Commission.
And then you have staff in each island.
Yes, we have staff in each island. Facilities take up a lot of that, right? Because we are very customer focused,
Yeah.
and so we're open from 5:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night.
From 5:30.
5:30 in the morning, and so we have to have coverage
Of course.
to be able to be open so
Yeah.
long, and so that takes up a lot of our resources. And of course, persons are still saying, "Can we open up at 5 o'clock in the morning?" And it's not that easy. 30 minutes is a lot.
So the Starbucks Live is open 5:30.
The Starbucks Library, National Stadium, the ballpark.
And people are coming there 5:30 in the morning.
Check it out.
Oh.
We average on a daily basis. We average about 800 users across all our
Wow. You
facilities.
probably need more than 39 employees. Wow.
We have about 800 users across. That's nationwide.
Yeah.
Daily users
Yeah.
across our facilities.
Yeah. For people like in the sports, children that are more inclined to be in athletics, what advice would you give to them and you give to their parents? Because as small as Turks and Caicos is, I think we have the opportunity to do better and to perform better. So what advice would you give to those parents and those children?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because we get that a lot, and it's an eye-opening conversation, right? We do have a compliance and support department
Okay.
that deals directly with national federations and deals with athletes and athlete support services, right? We have a department that deals with that. But occasionally I get a call, and a parent says, "Hey, can I come and talk to you about my kid?" And I would always say, "I wish you came and talked to me 5 years ago." You know what I mean? If I was to give a parent advice about their child, sports is great.
Yeah, it is.
It's great. It's impactful. The values that a child learns in sport is something that can carry them through the rest of their lives, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's different levels of sport. There's sport where you play for fun, and then it comes to a point where you now want to be competitive, right? We recently launched a framework called the Long-Term Athlete Development Framework, which is a scientific approach to developing athletes from grassroots to elite. And that framework is available to the public, right, as well as to all our coaches and clubs and our federations.
Yeah.
We had a consultant from Canada who was working with us for the last 2 or 3 years developing this framework and tailoring it for Turks and Caicos with our unique circumstances, right? And so I would advise parents to make sure that wherever they have their child being trained at, that coach is familiar with this long-term athlete development framework.
Okay.
And the parents should also familiarize themselves with it.
Yeah.
So they will know what to expect and what the child has to go through from grassroots through elite. There is a major drop-off point once you get to about 14, 15 years old, where kids start to really decide what they want to do and what they want to specialize in. I do recommend playing multiple sports early in life.
Yeah.
And then as you get through puberty and you start to really, your body starts to mature, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to focus and specialize on this sport, right? There has to be a lot of training, but not just time, but quality training.
Yeah.
Right? Quality training. And there has to be adequate competition, and not just any type of competition. There should be different levels of competition. And as the child advances, the competition level should get higher.
Yeah.
I think is one of the areas that I'm looking at, I don't agree with too much, is where parents would say, if my child is 10, I'm going to have my child play against 15-year-olds because that's going to make him better. That's not always the case. It actually hurts the kids in some instances.
Oh, right, because
right?
that 15-year-old may be more advanced.
Not just physically, but also mentally. And if a kid, maybe that's a big stretch. I say 12 and 15, right? That's the better range. When does the 12-year-old get a chance to win? Right? When does the 12-year-old get a chance to build confidence?
True.
If you're always putting the 12-year-old against 15-year-olds, they're always fighting from the back.
True.
Right? And so when do they really get to enjoy sport? So sometimes, yes, you want to test them with older kids and stronger kids, but you want to give those kids a chance to compete at their level.
And let them grow too.
And let them grow as well.
Let them grow,
right?
You know.
And college. We at the Commission strongly believe in the college track, where we should develop athletes early enough so that they are college ready. And going through the college system is the best opportunity for those kids to eventually become a professional athlete. And so to do that, you have to be college inclined. So you have to understand college readiness.
Yeah, and it's more than about sports.
It's more than just sports. You have to do your work. You have to have a school attendance. And parents should also focus on their child's travel documents. And we have a lot of, kids who are of Haitian descent or Dominican descent or different countries, but who are here. And they may have a pathway to citizenship or to documentation, but the parents don't see the urgency of it. The problem is, it is very urgent, because as your kid starts to compete at a high level, they have to start to travel. And if they don't have those travel documents, they can't travel. Also, they can't represent Turks and Caicos without certain documents. And so it's important that parents identify the pathways and don't wait. Don't wait until 30 days before
the trip.
They, you made the Carifta team? Now I got to find a passport. It's best
important to keep things up to date.
The time your kid turned 10 years old, make sure your kid has their documents. That's very, very important.
Valid passport, and you have your immigration documents, whatever is necessary.
We will be releasing a cheat sheet, sports for parents and children who want to go to college. We're going to be releasing a cheat sheet this week, actually. We're going to release it so parents can kind of have a step guide on what is the process of getting my kid from high school to college as a college athlete.
And it's best to be prepared,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, for some people it may be that breakthrough right there. And you don't want to lose that opportunity.
No.
Some people never have an opportunity to go to college, but with their ability in sports, that's their foot into the door. And
exactly.
So people should do their best to embrace that. Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the Financially Speaking show, and I want to encourage individuals who are listening about what's the program?
The Athlete Development Fund?
Where individuals get to
the Athlete Development Fund. Yes.
Yeah, we could, because we want to see more. We want to see better results, but it also requires more time, more money. And so, it's available. It's out there. So I encourage people to do that. You have any closing remarks?
I'll say thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Seymour. It's always great to speak with you and talk to you about sports. I love your passion,
Yeah.
and I think your passion, it transcends sport or any particular sector. You
Yeah.
just have a passion for people.
Yes.
And so we appreciate what you do at the Sports Commission. And I want to thank all of the persons who are currently working in the sporting sector,
Yeah.
who commit their time and energy for making this work. We are a very small country.
We are.
And as a small country, we don't have the luxury to compartmentalize everything. Sometimes we gotta all get our hands and our
Yeah.
elbows dirty, right?
Yeah.
And the Sports Commission in many countries bigger than ours, their role is more governance, right? And grant management. But we don't have the luxury.
You're more than that because we're small.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury to just
Yeah.
manage policies and
Yeah.
strategies and
Yeah.
and funding. We have to be developed in a way where we actually go out there and run programs.
Yeah.
And so the Sports Commission, and like that can create confusion. And that's why sometimes persons are thinking that the commission and the national federations are one of the same. While we work in the same
Yeah.
sector,
There is.
we work in the
confusion.
same sector and we oversee them,
Yeah.
and it's all governance, right? Because our major role is to ensure transparency and governance
Yeah.
in the national federations.
Yeah.
They have elections.
Yeah.
They have their financials in order. They are adhering to equity principles. You know, those type of things, right?
Yeah.
That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
And to get funding, they have to do these things,
Right.
right?
It's a criteria.
But we're a small country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we need to do more.
Yeah.
And that's why the commission does more.
Yeah.
That's why we host competitions.
Yeah.
That's why we have a sports performance center. That's why we do all these facilities and management, because that's what the country needs, right?
Yeah.
And so we appreciate everyone and who takes part in our activities and all the sponsors
Yeah.
that has been coming on board. We recently got a major sponsor from Waterloo Holding,
Awesome.
a $20,000 sponsorship last week. And that shows the level of commitment
Yeah.
from our corporate
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
And we hope to embrace more of that
Yeah.
in the coming months
Yeah.
and years.
All right. Well, thank you for watching Financially Speaking. I encourage you to, contribute to the Development Fund. And as individuals and also businesses, please contribute. We complain a lot about the Sports Commission and our athletes. And of course, I also write articles, not to complain, but just to provide constructive feedback. But we need help, and we can volunteer our time, we can volunteer our resources, and if there are people out there who have the expertise and skills like Mr. Gary Liburn, you could do that too, and volunteer your time to help, because we need help, and as Mr. Forbes said, we're separated by waters, and that complicate matters. We're not just one landmass where you can ride from one area to the next. You have to take a plane, you got to find accommodations. And so we need help. And I just want to thank Mr. Forbes for being on the show and providing clarity that, the Sports Commission is not responsible for the selection of athletes. They have the independent bodies that are responsible. He also clarified that the training does not take place just 30 days before an event. He said training is taking at least 7 months, and that's good to know. But what we need more money. We need more hands on the deck. And thank you for watching, and I hope that you can make a difference by being that help to our country. Thank you very much.